was having some technical difficulties. One, what's cracking with y'all? It's your boy Prince, the Hustle God, aka Wise the Warlock, aka Michelangelo the Madman. We reaching in our combat tool bag one more again. It is a cool black affair. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. LDBC only, LDBC or nothing, LDBC versus everybody. Again, sorry I had some technical difficulties there, y'all. I am back. We are here for episode 3 of the boxing breakdown. uh, yes, so we are here. We are here. Do me a favor, family, support, subscribe, follow, everything. LDBC, Trilitary, TWT, Simple Truth Network. Check out my other 2 channels, HFO Church, Acting Right TV, uh, Jab Jamboree, Act Reacher, aka the Judge. What's cracking with you, family? Welcome. Just getting through the housekeeping items and getting started on this. Um, yes, support my OGs, OG Cardinal Loco, that's OG Loco to me. Support OG K Hope, that's Black Fight Fan TV. Um, support the usual suspects. Support the usual suspects 6. Shop usualsuspect6.com. Shop usualsuspect6.com. Uh, peruse the site. Support each individual usual suspect. They all have their own merchandise and gear individually as well as collectively. Definitely check it out and support them. Also support and check out my younger brother, Black Sun, 9-4 Sun God. There are 3 ways to support the channel, family. 3 ways to support the channel. One is shopusualsuspect6.com. That's shopusualsuspect6.com. Get you some combat tool bag merch. We have cool weather gear, warm weather gear. That's shorts, sweats, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, combat tool bag, your actual tool bag, your shoes, uh, everything you could think. Shopusualsuspect6.com, shopusualsuspect6.com. Second way to support the channel, we have a 4-book series, soon to be 5 book series on financial literacy called the Hustle God series. You will find Hustle God Masterpiece, Daily Golden Mind Molding. You will find the language of the 1%, Hustle God's Linguistics of Money. You will find Hustle God's Afro Gold Part 1, and you will find Hustle God's Art of the Hustle, available on Amazon.com. Post live, it will all be available in the description. The last way to support and final way to support the channel is you can dive in the Cash App. You can sponsor your favorite fighter or support a creator via money sign Hustle God Inc. That's money sign Hustle God Inc. That said, those are the 3 ways to support the channel. Get you some merch, get you a book, and support in the Cash App. Thank you very much for stopping by. Again, this is episode 3, the boxing breakdown. So we did do just as a preface, we did do a bit of a time change. I was doing the breakfast and boxing, or boxing and breakfast early mornings, and my schedule kind of changed. So I'll be doing the boxing breakdown. It'll be Mondays, Tuesdays, and Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Monday through Thursdays, it'll be about 8:30ish. Give BFTB his time to cook, and then I'll come right on like around the time he's finishing. And again, we like to keep the lives replay friendly. And then Saturdays, you could expect around this time ish, just before the Queens with Q&A, Ashley's Corner and Kwee. Yeah, so that said, that's the new tentative schedule that we can you could expect the boxing breakdown or combat tool bag channel to go live. That said, we do have a full plate on our agenda today. Boxing and MMA salute. Welcome. Appreciate you stopping by, family. So what's on the agenda for today? We got Charlo versus Zoo press conference. We got Martin versus Rivera press conference. We got Derek James, or let's just go through. We have the of the year categories. We have trainer of the year, fighter of the year, prospect of the year. Um, we also have fight of the year as well. Um, Before we get into all of that, let me do say I did say prospect of the year. If I didn't, we also have prospect of the year as well. Before we get into all of that, let me say and start the show with R.I.P. Mills Lane, man. Mills Lane, he was a hell of a factor in this sport. He had a hellified legacy. I mean, from my favorite fighter, from my favorite fighters, and Marvelous Marvin Hagler to Mike Tyson to you name it, he's probably refed for them. I mean, his resume is extensive. Um, Thousands of rounds he's refereed, over hundreds of fights. The man, he was a one of a kind personality in the sport of boxing, a bigger than life personality. Hence why when we look back, I mean, you could think of commercials or think of even Celebrity Deathmatch. Brought Mills Lane in to have him referee fantasy claymation matchups. So, I mean, R.I.P. Mills Lane. He was uh, a spectacular referee who, unlike a lot of these new referees, or I won't even say new referees, but a lot of these other referees have a very shady, jaded history, and he did not. As far as I know and I can recall, through my research, he seemed to be a very up and up man. Mills Lane was definitely was definitely a beast, an amazing ref and official, an amazing person. Um, Mills Lane was a true legend of the fight game. Absolutely, boxing and MMA 360. I mean, boxing MMA 365. Absolutely. Hey, PGH Big Dog family, welcome, welcome, welcome. What's cracking with you? Appreciate you stopping by. Again, family, this is episode three of boxing, the boxing breakdown. Excuse me. So yes, now that I started it with that, rest in peace, rest well, OG. Definitely, Mills Lane. He definitely gave the game a lot of itself. So yeah, um, I actually want to start with the of the year um, categories that we have. So I kind of ruined it. I'm pretty sure you already know. Everybody who's clicked the thumbnail, for the most part, my trainer of the year, hands down, uh, is Derek James. Honorable mention or close second would be, or honorable mentions or close seconds would be a tie with um, Bill Haney and his name is escaping me, John David Jackson, Clarissa Shields' coach. But there's no question that Derek James has to have trainer of the year this year. So in my book, on this channel, on this platform, he's our trainer of the year. Absolutely, Derek James, with over, I believe it's over half a decade of champions, of having multiple champions in his count, um, actually having fighters fight stylistically, I mean, exclusively to his style, um, I feel uh, his battle genetic makeup. He he inputs that into his students successfully, to the point where they conform to the system. And I wouldn't even want to say conform to the system, but the system thoroughly enhances how they attack the game, or how they view battle altogether. So Derek James, with having two unified champs, one undisputed, one a three belt, basically on the verge of undisputed, and then well, three belts and basically lineal, because he beat uh, Ugas for the WBA, right? Beating Manny Pacquiao, but Manny Pacquiao would be the lineal left, um, or the man left at um, 147, and since Ugas beat Manny and EJ beat Ugas, I'm assuming essentially that would make him not only just three belt unified, but also lineal if there was a lineal left. Oh shit, Queen Tay Tay, the sweetest voice on the net. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. This is episode 3 of the boxing breakdown. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, so yeah, when it comes to trainer of the year, it's Derek James. I mean, he's done it. He's done enough. I mean, in completely changing Jamel Charlo's style, and not only taking him from being a one belt champion to, well, actually taking him from being a contender to being a one belt champion to being an undisputed champion. Um, that's all Derek James. I mean, and then Earl Spence from being a top level, I mean, a top prospect, or even being an American Olympian, to being a three belt unified champ, now possibly the lineal champ of 147. So, needless to say, Derek James for trainer of the year. For my fighter of the year, might get some pushback on this, but I don't give a fuck. It's no competition. There's literally no competition for this. And my fighter of the year is the GWOAT, the mighty Clarissa Shields. I mean, becoming 3 times undisputed. I mean, she made history at 2 times undisputed, but to become 3 times undisputed, she's literally, effectively, and single-handedly burying the guys. By being an example of what greatness in the flesh looks like. So, fighter of the year is not even close. Clarissa, Clarissa the Goat Shields. Um, and funny how John David Jackson and Bill Haney were uh, honorable mentions as far as coaches of the year, because in the honorable mentions for my fighter of the year, I would also say um, Devin Haney for sure, and hmm, shit, and I would say in Jamel Charlo. You know what I mean? So it's like they effectively, the coaches, the trainers of the year, as well as the fighters of the year. They're that connected. TWR, Odd Fella, the mad scientist, aka president of the Bud Protection Committee. Like, nah, what's cracking with you, big bro? I appreciate you stopping by. I really do. Thank you for stopping by to boxing and breakfast, the boxing breakdown, episode 3. My love, what's cracking with you, cuzzo? D Man Jr. Appreciate you stopping by. So yes, as I was saying, yeah, the trainer of the year is Derek James. The honorable mentions were John David Jackson and Bill Haney. My fighter of the year is the GWOAT Clarissa Shields. The honorable mentions would be Jermell Charlo and Devin Haney. You're seeing some consistency here, right? Yeah, you definitely is on the job, but I appreciated your consistency. I appreciated your consistency about the gloves this morning. You always give a fire show, so great show. If you guys haven't seen the Wake and Bake session with Oddfella and a few of the usual suspects, please go check out the replay. Every Saturday morning, he wakes us up with some fire, and I ain't just talking about the gas. But yeah, so now this is where we get a bit of a break, um, or do we get a bit of a break for fight of the year? Um, Fight of the year. Shit. Does anyone know? Let me do my own research real quick, because this is the one I kind of picked off of memory, and not off of um, what I know was out there in my thorough reflection. So I will say, off off reflex action, my fight of the year was Earl Spence versus Ugas. It was a very powerful unification, but I have to make sure that this one fight didn't take place this year. Um, 1 second, guys. second. Okay, yeah. So perfect. Yeah. So my fight of the year was Er- Earl Spence Jr. versus Jordanius Ugas for the three belt unification of the welterweight division. I had to make sure that Wilder versus I know I fella I know I had to make sure Wilder versus Fury 3 was not this year, because that was spectacular, and that was technically last year, October 9th of last year, I believe. Um, so, but that would have been my fight of the year this year, but it definitely wasn't this year. Why? Why the face that we get from Fella? Why? Because he is one of the children of the Cornhuskers, so I get it. But we're talking about welterweight unification. We're talking about three belts, and this man single-handedly went and captured, just like his merch on his shirt displayed. He knocked on all of those doors, started a fight, and came home with the belts from all of the champions, which is why that one made so much sense, as well as far as being the fight of the year, and why it was so effective. Because Ugas coming off of his biggest win, which he essentially stole the Manny Pacquiao fight from Earl Spence, and not stole in a bad way, but him being ready, him being uh, in shape and ready to go at all times, allowed for that opportunity to happen. And then him doing his job, even hurt, it showed a lot of heart and a lot of merit to his character. Um, so coming off of that win and then fighting Earl Spence, with all of the controversy behind people not considering him being the same after the car accident and then the eye injury, and then coming and stepping on some shit like he did in that Ugas fight was nothing shy of brilliant. Laywood versus Michael Conlon was a better fight. This guy, the trolling is outrageous. The trolling is outrageous. I love it though. I love it though, because we can't. If we're talking about fights of the year, we definitely can't say Bud versus Applesauce was fight of the year. We can't say that under any circumstance, especially with them asterisks, them six asterisks next to GLOVE. So I mean, yeah, it it makes not only it look sus, but it makes it look like extremely desperate. Like, did you need to have underperforming gloves to overperform to close the year out? Who knows? I ain't trying to throw no jacket on him, but my man be shooting shots, and I had to respond. Thank you. Okay, so that there we go. Getting back into the fight of the year, and that was my honorable mention, oddly enough, but that doesn't fall under fight of the year because it wasn't a just, for those who didn't see what I'm talking about directly. Taylor versus Serrano, guys, very important here. Taylor versus Serrano would have been my fight of the year, hands down, had it been the actual good judging and an actual result of what took place. To me, that's the robbery of the year, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm not sure if the Michael Fox thing happened this year or last year, and there were some controversies this year, but even more so than the controversies we saw um, throughout the year, I believe Amanda Serrano clearly won that fight. Um, the reason it can't be fight of the year is because she wasn't granted what she earned. Um, she is definitely robbery of the year because she landed more punches than Katie Taylor thrown the entire fight. If you want to actually combat me on that, please do your research. Every round, she landed more punches than Katie Taylor thrown. Then if you go and total it up, her total punches thrown, Amanda Serrano landed more punches than that on her. So how do you lose a fight under them standards? I mean, even if you're winning ring generalship, if I'm landing more punches on you than you're even able to throw, and I clearly win ring generalship out of aggression, because the effective aggression takes precedence over where we are in the ring, and that essentially uh, adds to who's being effective in that position, meaning that's who's winning with ring generalship at that as well. So I just don't see. I'm sorry to ramble, but I just do not see how anyone could have gave that honestly to Katie Taylor. It was a robbery. It was bullshit. The fans didn't lose. And I felt the fans did lose because anytime we get a robbery, I feel like we don't get um, we don't get our real champion. B we get to see the skirt of boxing lift up again, and I think that is like breaking the fourth wall in context of acting. That it it removes the it removes the suspension of disbelief. So where we believe that two gladiators are going to go in there and one wins and one comes out on top and the better man wins or the better woman wins, that is dispelled when we get robberies. That's why I believe the fans lost. But shit, I'm getting all emotional. Shit, man, that shit irked the hell out of me, man. Real talk. I even had to tell Amanda that to her face. I'm like, how do you lose a fight if you land more punches than the person throw? And she just shook her head like she didn't have a response. She was disgusted at the even trying to come up with an answer for that without saying robbery. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the robbery of the year. But fight of the year, definitely Ugas, Earl Spence. Um, honorable mentions would be Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, of course, because of the adversity she faced in that fight and what she had to overcome. But it was only the only adversity she had to face was a dirty and bigger fighter coming at her. She completely outskilled her. She blitzed her. She threw in volleys, and I mean, when she threw, everything was with bad intentions. So she effectively controlled that fight so well that it was like, I mean, it doesn't take away of the fact that Savannah Marshall did do things or did attempt to do things, but I had it so clear of a victory. Even though it was a lot on the line, I smelled that from a mile away that Clarissa was going to go in there and do her thing. It doesn't take away from her accomplishments at all. I just don't give it the weight of fight of the year. It's an honorable mention though, definitely an honorable mention. Um, let's go to. Oh well, there's I. It's not like I can't. It's not like there's anything else to skip over this. I mean, it's not like there's anything else to go to without skipping over this. That said, we have to go to prospect of the year. So prospect of the year, y'all gonna hate me for this because I couldn't just pick one. So it's a tie for prospect of the year. And no, it's not Jared Big Baby Anderson. It's not Troy Isley. It's not any of the main top ranked prospects that they kept throwing in our face, telling us were the great prospects of the year. But and it's not taking anything away from those guys. I believe they're all doing their thing, but um, in being sold these guys, you you either become a believer, you start to question them as a believer, uh, or support them 100% as a believer, or you are a detractor in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't necessarily make you a hater. It's just maybe you're just more of a critic than you are a supporter. Now, when it comes to these guys, I look at them and I'm like, all of them, Xander Zayas, um, I keep wanting to say Duke Reagan, but Tiger Johnson, all of those guys, phenomenal. Rabisi Ramirez, they're all phenomenal. But who do I see as special without them telling me, or who is a prospect that I see that's actually a prospect for one, um, and then B, not necessarily have as much backing or as much spotlight as these other guys, but who's still stepping on shit. And I say it's a tie between Abdullah Mason and Roy Roy Schofield. That's Kid Austin. So Kid Austin and Abdullah Mason. To me, they're my prospects of the year. They're tied. I felt like I seen more from these two guys than I seen from all of the other guys. From Jared Big Baby Anderson, I see Jared Big Baby Anderson as a solid, aggressive boxer. Can use a little bit of defensive work. Very confident. High self belief. Sky's the ceiling. You know, undersized to be a heavyweight, but makes up for it in boxing IQ. Very skillful. Xander Zayas, very strong, very aggressive. The weight class he's in is why him is why he's still a prospect, because it takes a lot longer to make sure he's ready for the top guys in his weight class than it will the other guys. So he has a little more fights than the other guys, but from what I see, good. You know what I mean? Going down the line, Duke Reagan, Tiger Johnson, very good, very sharp, very technical. You know, all of the guys. But when you look at Kid Austin, I see when he has the opportunity, he's not only going to be competitive, but he's it's either like a draw or a win when it comes to him fighting the guys at lightweight. Same with Abdullah Mason. I mean, these guys are literally at that level now. Whereas where we look at Shushu, or we look at Troy Isley, or we look at um, uh, Jarrett Big Baby Anderson, and we're like, these guys are good, but we know they're not ready right now. Not right just now. I look at Kid Austin, I'm like, he's ready right now. I look at Abdullah Mason, and I say he's ready right now. Skywalker, my brother Tim, what's cracking with you, family? I appreciate you stopping by. This is the Boxing Breakdown, episode 3. Um, we're on Prospect of the Year. Just before this, we were going over everything like Trainer of the Year, Fighter of the Year, Fights of the Year, etc. Feel free to take it back. It ain't going to be a long live. But Abdullah Mason, slick, very sharp, very high IQ to be as young as he is. I mean, um, long, lean for his weight class, controls range excellently, um, a natural boxer, a natural. And then you look at Kid Austin and you see aggressive, power, amazing switch hitter. Can at times force it, but when he relaxes and it comes to him naturally, I mean he'll be like boots on the inside, like that sick, literally that sick. So the guys to watch, the guys to check for, my prospects of the year, Abdullah Mason and Roy Schofield, aka Kid Austin. Gotta fuck with those guys. Um, and last but not least, we got these two press conferences to dig into a little bit. So we got um, Frank Martin versus Rivera, which the undercards and the prelims should be coming on shortly. So by all means, support, and actually might be on to do a regular thing on Saturdays and start calling the undercards, where it's like OGKQ and like Big Bro BFTB. They call the fights. I think I'll like start calling the prelim cards, like just to warm it up. You know, do like an LDBC warm up. You know, give the prelim calls, and then they'll call the main cards. The main channels call the main cards. But so Charlo, Martin versus Rivera tonight, and then we got Charlo versus Zoo or Kazoo, January 28th. So actually, before we dig into that, we had hey, thank you, bro. I appreciate that, D man, D Loke. But yeah, like I thought it might be just a good idea to start calling on fights. I like the analyst side of it, and also be able to not have to hear the annoying voices of these commentators and analysts that they're putting in front of us. Because at times that shit, I just don't want to hear muted. Watch a muted fight 24/7. Sometimes you actually want to hear some shit. So add in for the family. But so Martin versus Rivera. Let's talk about that first. Martin versus Rivera. All right, so Rivera, very confident, extremely high self belief as he should have. He has more fights than his opponent. I mean, he considers himself Salsa Ali. I'm assuming is Hispanic Ali. Um, and to be the new Ali, you gotta have crazy self belief. Like, you gotta really believe in yourself. Ali, he didn't have an ounce of doubt as far as what he showed the world. So his level of self belief is through the roof. But I do think, from what I'm interpreting, and it could be misinterpreted, but I do think he's kind of underestimating Frank Martin a little bit. Um, and underestimating your opponent in any way can be detrimental. Frank Martin has already said, he already said that Michelle Rivera can do it all. That said, if you're underestimating your opponent, or your confidence slides to the side of cockiness or delusion, you can begin to do things with your opponent that you shouldn't do, that can put you at unnecessary risk. And Frank Martin has said, if he tries to stand there with him, I'm knocking him out. Like, period. I'm knocking him out. So, and we see in the weigh in, torso wise, Rivera's pretty thin in the torso, but seismically overall, he's the bigger fighter. He's taller, arm width wise and length wise. He's longer arms, but in the width and the side by side, typically when you see a taller and shorter fighter, the shorter fighter typically has wider arms and the longer fighter has thinner arms. But I didn't necessarily see that with Frank Martin and Michelle Rivera. With them, their arms seem to be pretty even size. Hence, with Frank Martin, he wears a lot of his weight in the chest and core area. He has a big back, like, in a big core. So a lot of his weight is there as opposed to the arms. His legs are bigger than Rivera's, but not longer. So that could mean that he has a lot more torque and a more explosion on the inside than Rivera. But Rivera is very nice on the skates, very elusive on the outside. Um, it seemed in the press conference that Rivera was, and in post interviews, that not only does he feel he's the better fighter overall, but like, he's giving the impression that he'll dominate Frank Martin. So I believe that gives Frank Martin the position of power to not have to work so hard to get to the inside, because Rivera, I believe that he believes he can do whatever he wants with Frank Martin, and in that, a big mistake will be made, and he won't be able to adjust once Frank Martin gets a taste of the inside or the mid range. That mid range area is dangerous for everybody, but the mid range is the playground for the catch and shoot style, as well as that Derek James Texas lean catch and shoot style. So Frank Martin expressed a lot of humility and didn't do too much talking, but expressed a lot of self confidence as well. Um, uh, Salsa Ali, on the other hand, he expressed a lot of confidence. I wouldn't necessarily say humility, um, uh, because I do interpret it as he underestimates his opponent in Frank Martin. But we are in for a spectacular fight tonight. Don't miss it. I believe it's on Showtime, um, and it's a free fight, so you ain't got to worry about no astronomical price to view this. The undercards, again, the prelims and the undercard should be starting shortly. But this will be a great fight for the contenders at the lightweight division. It should be for WBA title eliminator, which means that this person would have the victor of this bout will have a shot, or at least a shot to be mandatory for the the winner. I mean, the undisputed champion, Devin the Dream Haney. So looking forward to this. I got Frank Martin, um, either by TKO. I don't believe he can sleep, actually sleep Rivera. I do believe he can hurt Rivera and pounce on him enough for the ref to get him to get in there and stop the fight. So I got him by TKO, possibly mid to late mid round. So not late, not 10, 11, but maybe in between 6 to 9. I mean, excuse me, 7 to 9. So late mid. TKO stoppage. And last but not least, before we get up out of here, Charlo versus Tim Tszyu. Man, Mel, I like Mel can say things like coming at Blue or just saying they gonna be mad at me for this with or the community is gonna be mad at me for this when he was with ES News and shit like that. But you gotta love this dude. Like as much as I like support him and he say something to make me feel like, damn man, I support you, but I ain't gonna be out championing for you and shit. But then he'll just say everything that you feel when somebody's sitting in front of you and you know you about to go to war type shit. Even if it doesn't like come out, like it doesn't always come out extremely articulate. It doesn't always come out like in the order or the form or the flow that you would or I would or anybody else would put it when they talking their shit, but you talking shit to somebody. So like his ability to take command over situations, over his opponents, like when they try to talk, like when Castano. Before I get into this, one second, let me read these two. Uh, they giving the fans a early Christmas present tonight. Two undefeated contenders, absolutely, Tim, absolutely, they definitely are. PGH Big Dog, mad respect for both Martin and Rivera taking this fight. Fan, big fan of both, win or lose. Absolutely, same here. PGH Big Dog, Mel Charlo is emotional as hell and certified crazy, but he can fight. See that? Thank you. You brought me back to my point too. I love that because like, but that's my whole point. Like when you sitting in front of somebody and you about to like, you know what I mean? Like you about to go at it. You got one or two options. That's A, be yourself and let your ratchet hang out, be it whoever you are, wherever you're from. It could be your Latino ratchet, it could be your white ratchet, it could be your Asian ratchet, it could be your black ratchet. You know what I mean? It's letting you, in my terminology, let your nigga hang out. You feel me? Like when somebody's sitting in front of you and they popping that shit, you could do that, or you could be politically correct and you could be on your politician with it. You know, and in that in that duality, it's essentially the Oscar de la Hoya. I'm gonna give you guys a rough and tumble fight. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be great. But then you got the Floyd Mayweather. He ain't gonna do shit. I'm a blah, 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 blah. Like you feel me? You get the polar opposites of the spectrum. Now, Charlo, even when he tried to be on some political correct shit or politically correct shit, he comes out on that crazy shit. Like when because like PGH Big Dog said, he's mad emotional and crazy as hell. And in uh, Gladiator, that's what you should want. I mean, you could either be void of emotion and crazy as hell, and that can add to you, or you could be full of emotion and crazy as hell, and that adds to you, or or the converse of both. You could be void of emotion and that takes away from you, or you could be full of emotion and that takes away from you. You see what I mean? But in Charlo's scenario, it only adds to him, in my perspective. So when somebody like Castano was standing there like, hey man, it's not, you know, my country Argentina versus America, he said, no, yes it is. Don't act like we friends now. You from over there. I'm from USA. You from over there. It's USA versus Argentina. He was popping that shit. You feel me? And like now when Tim Kazoo in front of him, he's like, you know, he's still calling him Kazoo to his face, like, and nobody corrects him on it. Nobody want no smoke on even trying to correct him, and he's essentially trying to pay compliments to him, and every time he tries to pay a compliment to him, he like as far as saying like I wanted to fight the best guy, I wanted to fight the top guy, and he said I made it so I made it easy for you, I made it so it's like duh. There's only one champion. There's only one guy. I'm him. You know what I mean? He was really popping that. He was really popping that ish, and then he was trying to tell him like he was at his prime, and Charlo interpreted that as saying I'm old. He said I ain't at my prime. Only God tell me when I'm at my prime. And then he said he tried to call me old. I ain't old. You old, motherfucker. Like he literally just the everything that your natural stimulus is when somebody say oh you ugly or you a bitch motherfucker, just the your natural reaction. I ain't no bitch, you's a bitch motherfucker. Fuck you talking about. I'll smack the shit out you. Like yeah, natural gut reaction. I feel like that's what we get from Charlo, and that's why it's never completely articulate because there's no attempt on trying to clean it up. He just let it come out raw, and that's the beauty in it. So in that press conference, we got a lot of what I feel like we'll see in the fight. We'll get Tim Zoo's cautious pressure, him trying to make a statement and make his presence be known with his power shots at times and his spots, but complete dominance and explosion from Charlo is what I see. Let me dive back in this chat real quick. Facts, PGH, big dog. I don't think a loss will affect these fighters. It shows to the fan. No, absolutely, Skywalker. Absolutely with that. Uh, PGH, yeah, he's responding to Sky. PGH, facts, Pitbull situation. I really believe the promoter Sean Gibbons because he's no license to operate in the States. Shady as hell. Shit, man, you gonna have to let me know what's going on with that behind the scenes. I don't even like to hear about that Pitbull situation. I do know that Shakur's struggling to find a fight, and it says a lot to his point about the 135 being overrated. And it's sad to say because you have a very slept on, underrated champion at 135 in Devin Haney, but then in the way everyone else is moving, it adds validity to Shakur's statement in 135 being overrated because clearly how it is with them fighting a champion, everyone's real suspect and questionable. And now with someone just entering the division, though he's a threat, but someone just entering the division can't find a fight and a champion can't find a fight. That says a lot about the men left at 135. But that said, y'all, that said, this was boxing. Damn, I keep on saying boxing and breakfast. This was the boxing breakdown, family. Episode 3. Appreciate y'all stopping by. I'm about to close out with some housekeeping items. Uh, do me a favor, family. Support, subscribe, follow everything. Ldbc, Trilitary, TWT, Simple Truth Network. Check out my other 2 channels, HFO Church and Acting Right TV. Got a lot of shit coming. Support my OGs, Kano Loco, that's OG Loco to me. Support my OG K Hope, that's Black Fight Fan TV. Support the usual suspects. Shop usualsuspect6.com. Support my younger brother. Check out my younger brother, Black Sun. Again, guys, there are 3 ways to support the channel. 3 ways. Opulent LD, what's cracking with you, family? I appreciate you stopping by. I'm just wrapping up. You can take it back to the top. Everybody getting ready to get up out of here. Same Ratchet since 91, family. Just wrapping up. You can take it back to the top. Much love. Appreciate you for stopping by. Family, there's 3 ways to support the channel. 3 ways to support the channel. 1, shopusualsuspect6.com. Shopusualsuspect6.com. Support each individual usual suspect, but please support me as well. Pick up some Combat Tool Bag merch. We have warm weather gear. We got cool weather gear. That means shorts, sweats, long sleeves, short sleeves, hoodies. Yeah, nigga, we got hoodies. Combat tool bags. We got shoes. We got it all. Please shop usualsuspect6.com. Get you some combat tool bag merch. Way number 2, we got a book series, Hustle God series. 4-book series right now, will be soon to be 5. It's available on Amazon.com. After this live, it will be available in the description. You will find Art of the Hustle, Hustle God's Art of the Hustle, Hustle God's Afro Gold Part 1, Language of the 1%, Hustle God's Linguistics, and Hustle God Masterpiece, Daily Gold and Mind Molding. Pick up a book, Hustle God series, Amazon.com. Type in Hustle God series on Amazon.com or Michelangelo Turner on Amazon.com. They will pop up. Last but not least, the way to support the channel, three of three, if you will, is you can sponsor a fighter or sponsor a creator by diving in the Cash App. That's the cash tag is money sign Hustle God Inc. Money sign Hustle God Inc. It doesn't have to be while you live, just when I come top of mind. I appreciate y'all all supporting. Again, that's cash tag money sign Hustle God Inc. Appreciate y'all stopping by. This is the boxing breakdown, and Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays we will be here about 8:30ish Monday through Thursday, and Saturday about this time ish 3:30ish on Saturdays, and on for the prelims of those fights. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. You successfully reached in your combat tool bag, and until next time, deuces.